the KMNN studios, this is the Kids Morning News Network.
Good morning, everybody. It's Friday, May 24th, 2024. That's kind of cool. I'm Alex in the KMNN studio here in New York. It's Brothers Day. If you have a brother, I hope you have fun with them today the way special correspondents Liam and Finn do. It's also National Escargot Day. You know what escargot is? Escargot is a special dish from France, and it's snails. Yep, snails, which reminds me of a joke. What do you say when you see a snail driving a race car? Look at that escargot. It's also National Scavenger Hunt Day. Do you like scavenger hunts? They're the best. They're fun to put together also, so maybe make one for your friends today, or your brother. Pack your bags, everybody. There's a new Earth out there. Or a new Earth-like planet, anyway. An international team of astronomers says that a planet with the catchy name of Gliese 12b, I'm kidding, not catchy, is about the same size as Earth. It orbits a red dwarf star and gets about 1.5 times the energy from its star as we do from our sun. The temperature isn't horrible as these things go, about 108 degrees they estimate, so it's very hot, but not a full-on inferno. Time there is a little funky. It orbits its sun every 12 days, so that's a year in less than 2 weeks. And it's 40 light years away in the Pisces constellation. Still, again, as these things go, it's pretty close to what Earth is like. Scientists hope to take a closer look at the new planet to possibly figure out if it has any atmosphere. And how they do that is really cool. When Gliese 12b passes between its sun and us, scientists can tell by the changes in the color of the light from that sun if the light is passing through an atmosphere, and even what the atmosphere is made of. And if they look really, really close, I bet they can even figure out what the Wi-Fi password is on Gliese 12b. Here's a story about something we use every day, but you probably don't think about much. Well, really, it's a story about a person named Fahrenheit. Daniel Fahrenheit. He was born on this day in 1686 in Poland. And back then, way before fancy thermostats and weather apps, nobody really agreed on how hot or cold it was. So imagine trying to tell your friend if it was a sweater day or a popsicle day. Pure chaos. Well, when he was 15, Daniel was sent to Amsterdam in Holland to work for a bookkeeper. But he wasn't your average teenager. He was already kind of obsessed with thermometers, which were not very reliable back then. Daniel wanted a thermometer that was always accurate, no matter who used it, and that you could use to tell someone exactly what temperature it was. He tried making his own thermometers with different liquids like alcohol and water, but they weren't consistent. They didn't always tell him the same thing. He spent so much money on his experiments, money he didn't have, that he actually had to go on the run. He traveled through Europe to keep from getting arrested, and along the way, he had a chance to meet other scientists. Then he had a light bulb moment. Well, not literally, there weren't light bulbs back then. But he tried using mercury, which is a shiny metal that moves a lot like a liquid when it's heated. But unlike liquids like water or alcohol, mercury does not boil easily. And it worked. The mercury thermometer was much more accurate than anything else at the time. Fahrenheit then made a temperature scale for his new thermometer by sticking it in a salt water and ice bath. And he said, okay, that is 0 degrees. Then he made the freezing point of water 30 and the normal body temperature 90. Okay, those were pretty easy to remember, except they weren't exactly right. Later on, the freezing point of water was revised to 32, and the normal body temperature was changed to 96. and then 98.6. The thermometer was accurate. The scale, left a little something to be desired. Also, mercury is very toxic. It's poisonous. Daniel Fahrenheit actually died when he was just 50 from what is now believed to be mercury poisoning. Then 6 years later, a guy named Anders Celsius came up with a scale that was much simpler than Fahrenheit's, and most of the world uses that now, except us in the United States. The mercury thermometer, though, that lasted for hundreds of years. It's riddle time. Wednesday's riddle was, what has to be broken before you can use it? An egg. Today's riddle, I have a heart that doesn't beat. What am I? And it's not a zombie. I have a heart that doesn't beat. What am I? Give you the answer next Wednesday. Tomorrow, the Force may be with you. It was on May 25th, 1977 that the first Star Wars movie, Episode 4, A New Hope, was released. Back then it was just called Star Wars because there weren't any other episodes. And actually, even that episode barely got made at all. How it happened is a great lesson in how to create something, because anytime you make something new, a story, a song, a painting, a science experiment, like a thermometer, or even a math problem, your first try often won't be your last try. You have to keep going and not get discouraged. The guy who wrote Star Wars, George Lucas, wanted to make an adventure movie like the ones he had seen when he was a little kid in the 1940s and 50s. He wasn't even that interested in outer space, really. He just wanted to make a story about growing up. But it took him a long time to come up with a story about Luke Skywalker. And he wrote a lot of stories along the way. First about a guy named CJ, who was learning to be something called a Jedi Bendu, and being taught by someone named Mace Windu. Then he made a character called Anakin Starkiller, who was a general, but didn't like that, so he changed the character to be a teenage boy. And he had a bounty hunter named Han Solo, who was a big green monster. And he even made a character based on his big furry dog, and he called it Chewbacca. Well, so the movie eventually got made. No one thought it would do very well, not even George Lucas. In fact, the day it first appeared in theaters, on May 25th, 1977, he forgot it was happening. He was working inside all day, and at the end of the day, he walked out of the building, and there was a movie theater across the street showing his movie. And the line for tickets went down the block. Well, Star Wars made more money than any movie before it, and it's still one of the most successful movies ever. It's the kind of long shot victory even Luke Skywalker might be jealous of. Today there will be more rain in the middle of the country, but it's moving a little bit more toward the northern part. Also on the west coast and in northern Montana, from Glacier to the High Line. I see you, Montana. North and South Carolina and Virginia might also have some sprinkles. Temperature-wise, there's heat from Southern California across the bottom of the country and sweeping up to Maine, like from Anza Borrego to Bar Harbor and up to Michigan. Hot. Well, that's the show. Thank you very much for listening. If you like this episode, please give it a like on your podcast app. Grown-ups, if you'd like to become a supporter, there is a link in the episode description. No pressure, but even $3 a month would help with production costs. That's less than $1 a week. Have a great long weekend, a great Memorial Day. I will be back Wednesday, and I hope you are too. From the KMNN Newsroom, this is Alex, signing off.